Ja? Soll ich dir die Kamera noch geben? Oder
Nee, das machen wir nicht mehr. Also,
ja, alles klar.
Weil das läuft jetzt wirklich.
Okay.
Auch das Monitoring und so.
Moderator, ne? Oder?
Immer, der Host.
Ich würde dir einfach den dauerhaft geben.
Ja.
Wenn der grün ist, ist er verbunden. Wenn du ihn abschalten willst, bleib einfach lang drauf. Das
Jetzt vertraust du mir nicht, dass du mir das erzählst. Das machst du mal gleich so die Abzeit.
Achso, nee, ich vertraue auf jeden Fall. Nee, es war vielleicht einfach eben nur gedacht, das ist vielleicht für die fürs Handling einfacher. Nee, er ist an. Er ist jetzt auch an. Das heißt,
Der blinkt ein bisschen.
genau, aber dann ist es verbunden. Ne? Can I put this in here? When you're done and you don't want to be recorded, just bring it back to me.
Okay.
You're sitting here or you keep on pressing.
Do they maybe have a laser pointer?
Not at hand, but look,
Maybe, yes.
Ja, hast du? Oder Schwert. "20 minutes is good, huh?"
20 minutes, yes.
Yeah.
I will do it in 20 minutes. And then questions, maybe below.
Yeah,
I will not
I think we
exaggerate.
want to do it more colloquial.
More
You
colloquial.
You can just interact with the people if they have a question, or just see how the
I
crowd
can.
react.
But better option is they finish then questions.
Yeah, sure.
Otherwise, it can stretch.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Have you guys all been at the conference? No.
I saw the Oban talk.
Yeah, that's quite okay. But if you haven't, I think it's interesting. I don't want to let's be cool about stuff
Hosting that doesn't end, it continues on.
forever. I was told there's an conference here tomorrow, so it's like, I don't know. Did you listen to this already, or?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, like my wife watched Lord of the Rings 3 times, you know. Like,
It's fine. It's fine.
Welcome, welcome. Are we ready, Lucas? Should I wait? You're good? Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the CodeBeam after event. I'm really happy that you guys are all here. The idea was that we bring, yeah, exactly. Want to bring together like some of the local Berliners who had not the chance or opportunity to come to CodeBeam, and some of the people who came from all the other places you come from when you come to CodeBeam to Berlin, and just get them together to mingle and see each other, and also bring a bit of the CodeBeam experience here. And thanks to Karlo, who spoke at CodeBeam, we will have some of that. And tomorrow we will have a completely different format than the unconference. So if you're curious about that and you don't know what it is, you should check it out. The idea is really to get more dialogue going, have smaller groups and talk to each other, and not only conference-style talks. But now we want to do like mini CodeBeam, relive that. Some show of hands. Who? Yeah, good job, good job. You won.
I was about to say, can you ask who has flown, who's come into town versus who's local?
That's an amazing idea. Let's do that. So.
That was your idea.
No, it was your. So who's local? Who's local here? And who has been coming to town? Amazing. You guys are amazing. This is really great. Thank you so much for being here.
Well done.
Job well done. So we're going to start with Karlo, and he's going to tell us, he came from Croatia, so he's, did you just raise your hand? Like he also came from outside, and going to tell us a bit about Oban and taming 20 million jobs. So with that, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Dominic. Hello, everybody. So my name is Karlo Smid. I'm Elixir consultant in my company, and today I'm going to tell you a story how we tamed 20 million open jobs in production. So a little bit about me. I created first C core dump in 94. I created first Beam core dump in 2016. And this is how you start. So Elixir consulted my company for various clients. One of clients was this Oban architecture. I walk a lot. Sometimes I do stand-up comedy, enjoy solving Rubik Cube, and I'm probably the worst cheese player in leeches.org platform. You can find me, challenge me, and find out about this fact. So what is the agenda of this story? First, what is Oban? We already know that, but let's recap it. So why Oban and not just Gen server with ETS tables? Architecture where we used Oban, problem that we have, then solution of this problem, what we learned along the way about Oban on this journey, and of course, shout out to Shannon and Parker that I had pleasure to meet in Zagreb. So what is Oban? Job processing library written in Elixir. For persistence, it's using database. Postgres or SQLite are supported. So job describes what to do. Worker of Oban describes how to do it. And there are three tiers. There is free version, but there is also Oban Pro and Enterprise Edition. So why not Gen server with ETS tables instead of Oban? There are four main reasons. First is transaction safety. So out of the box, you don't realize when you are using Oban, but out of the box you have, so each action on Oban job is done in the context of the Ecto database transaction. So when you do Oban insert, this is basically done in Ecto database transaction. So what is the side effect? When worker fails processing Oban job, you get out of the box rollbacks. So all changes on the Oban job metadata are rollbacked. All changes on your application data are also rollbacked. Persistence is second reason. So state is stayed safely in the Oban in the database, which is Oban job table. Observability out of the box. So all actions that changing state of Oban job, you get out of the box telemetry events. All failures of Oban worker on the Oban jobs are accompanied by the telemetry events. So we are interested in the failures. So we are listening on them and sending them to our choice of the telemetry backend, which is Datadog. And then we create alarms in the form of Slack messages to know what's happening with our architecture. And retries, or number of attempts. This is important property of Oban worker queue. So this is number 0 or greater than 0. When you set it greater than 0, when Oban worker fails, it will try again to reprocess the job. But you don't want to do it immediately, otherwise you will hammer your database, or you will hammer external system For example, if there is some HTTP communication that Oban worker does, you don't want to hammer that external system. You want to have backoff algorithm. Oban out of the box is implementing exponentially distribution of future requests. This is out of the box. If you are not satisfied with this default algorithm, you can implement your own. This is Elixir behavior. So what does it mean, this exponentially distributed future retries? For example, we had number of retries 20, and 20th retries was scheduled 2 weeks in the future from the last retry. Architecture where we, for the client, implemented Oban. So Gen server event listener, let's say that event is bad, we got bad event, we created bad job, store it in bad queue. So first architectural decision, let's have it for each event, have separate worker queue. Reason is very simple, investigating errors is much simpler. Then we are using chunk processor, which comes from the Oban Web, Oban Pro world. It processes jobs in the chunks or in batches. Our batch size was 1,000. Second architecture reason was straightforward because we are storing data into ClickHouse. ClickHouse operates much better when you are doing inserts in the batches. So that was the second architectural decision. Of course, chunk processor has some business logic. It must contact currency rate microservice. This could fail. So third architectural decision, we are setting these failed jobs into failed rates queue. So this is dedicated queue like that letter queue for the chunk processor. Why we are doing that in bonus tip number 4 will be explained in detail. And fourth architectural decision we are using for the database Postgres, which is proven database for us. Little bit source code. So this is DC bat event listener. Basically, client created one framework with a lot of macro magic. Bat function, we got bat event. We are creating bat job. Bat decision was that bat. This is the payload of the job is a string. We are doing Erlang to binary, and then we are encoding this as a 64 based string. And this is the magic Oban insert. We are inserting that job, and under the hood, we have this all transaction and all transaction handling, because return values from Oban insert is OK or error. So if everything is OK, we are telling our producer, you can forget about this job, this event, we are accepted it, because it's securely stored in the Oban job table. Or if there is error, we are sending a notification, please try it again with your own backoff algorithm. The thing is, you can see that there is no any try catches, just OK or error case. Chunk worker definition, you can see this is Oban Pro. Some settings for the queue, name of the queue, size of the queue, timeout in milliseconds. So this worker starts processing when we have fresh new 1,000 jobs, or if it passed from the last run 5 seconds, whichever condition is met first. Argument schema, this is macro from the Oban. You define your job, bat payload, which is a string. And these are settings for ClickHouse. Function process from the Oban, which does the work. So from Oban Pro, the name of the function is process. From the free Oban tier, it's called perform. If you use it, then you know that you implement perform. You can see the list of jobs. We are doing enum through this list of jobs. We decode this. So first decoding 64 base string, then safely decoding binary to Erlang term using plug application because we don't want security issues. And you can see here we are casing on the payload. In bonus tip 1, I will explain how you can do it that easier, not to case it pattern matching on the payload that could be complicated. So in both cases, we try to contact currency rate microservice to get amount euro. Try rescue to catch the error. Of course, this is error prone. I will, in the end, answer how you can do this better architecture. But if we have some failures that we know about, we set amount euro to nil. Why? So we can do this enum on jobs to extract failed jobs, store them in failed currency rates new queue, which is not chunk, which is regular queue. Body is still string, and important fact that number of attempts is 1. We will explain this in the bonus tip 4, why we're doing that. Amount euro is not nil. It's ready data to go to the ClickHouse. So what went wrong? First, we need to explain Oban job states. So Oban job has states. Oban has job states, start states, end states, and in the middle executing state. You do Oban insert, state is available. You do Oban insert with attribute scheduled at with timestamp in the future, state is scheduled state. So precondition must be met, so Oban can start processing the job to put it from available state to executing state. First condition is, of course, database connection. Process start executing. If everything is okay, this is what we want. End state is completed. If there is failure, number of attempts is 0. End state is discarded state. So your job is still there. It's not deleted. If we have number of attempts greater than 0, we go into loop retriable available executing, where this retriable state is basically scheduled state based on the this out-of-the-box algorithm exponential time distribution. So this is scheduled state. When schedule is met, it's go into available state, but Oban marks it as retriable state, that it knows that something went wrong in previous runs. Number of attempts is exhausted. We go to end state, discarded state. And all start states, scheduled available retriable state, could be cancelled. Then we go in state cancelled using Oban web by clicking. Cancel, or you can use Oban interface programmatically. You can always cancel any of the jobs. So what went wrong? We got 20 million Oban jobs just sitting in available state. Nothing was moving to executing state. Reason was our bug in the currency rate logic. With number of retries 20, even with this backoff algorithm, we hammered database. So Postgres was under pressure. We saw in the application logs famous error that we all have seen. Database connection error, could not obtain it, connection from the queue. For the default, of course, 15 seconds. So what to do? First, we needed to understand these states in order to be able to write comprehensive ticket report for the Oban Pro, which is Elixir forum with tag Oban. So publicly available, everybody could read this, our trouble report, but we were nothing too high. So we got answer from Parker under 4 hours, mostly due to time difference of America, and he gave us step-by-step guide. First, of course, pause incoming traffic. Our architecture allowed us that, even to pause it by the event. So we could pause these bad events without affecting other traffic. But basically, the issue was with all events, so we stopped all events. Fix the bug, update Oban Web and Oban Pro to the latest version. And the most important feature was this Oban notifier mechanism. By default, Oban is using for notifier mechanism when you do not set this. Postgres notify mechanism. This is internal mechanism, how Oban knows that jobs are running, not running. And this put additional workload on Postgres with millions of jobs. This is one of the reasons that killed our Postgres. So Oban notifier PG stands for process group, so we know where this is going. Oban, with this setting, is using Elixir cluster messaging for notify mechanism. And we were already using cluster of 3 nodes with libcluster library, so we were able to set this most important feature that is in Hex official documentation that we missed. It's called, believe it or not, scaling guide. Some housekeeping on Oban job tables, reindexing tables and doing vacuuming. And we were ready to start moving to give some starting pressure, off pressure from the Postgres to move Oban jobs that were in state available in the chunks of 100,000 to put them in scheduled state 1 hour in the future. Basically, we were mimicking this backoff algorithm with a simple query. So no any mumbo jumbo, Oban job tables, you can do this query and do this update. Resume traffic, observe with Oban Web. With Oban Pro was part of it, but now it's Oban Web is free. But if you do not have installed, if you are using install, please Oban Web, because Oban Web is keeping your back. And we saw with Oban Web, available states drop counted with several runs of this SQL query. In 3 days, all available jobs were moved into completed state. This is what we wanted. So what we learned along the way. So in order not to do pattern matching, for example, when you change the body of your job, good thing is immediately to set version argument when you do the job definition. Because when you change body, you can set this version to 2. You deploy. Because of the backlog, you will have both versions at one point in the production, in your running Oban in Oban jobs tables. But with version 1 and version 2, you do not need to do pattern matching on payload, you can do this functional pattern matching on perform or process function with on this version argument, and then you call handle v1, handle v2, and handle both versions at the same time. Bonus tip 2. So when we defined Oban web work, the chunk worker, you remember that name of the queue, size of the queue, and the timeout. But you need to repeat those configurations in config.ex file, because if you miss it, Oban job will be just sitting in available state. Nothing would move in executing state. And there will be no any compilation errors or warnings. Monitor proactively, use Oban to monitor Oban. So we just use free Oban plugin, cron plugin. Perform job is not matter because this is periodically called every 5 minutes, and we call Oban Met library. Oban Met library is also free library. It's cornerstone library of the Oban web. It gets you various statistics on Oban. We are using Oban Met latest full count group state in order to get counts of the states. If available state has count more than 1,000, we are sending telemetry event to the Datadog. There we cleared Slack message, something fishy is going on with our available state. And finally, explanation why we have this failed currency rate queue. So this is Oban web. This is the queue, which is chunk worker. And you can see this is everything is OK. But if there is error, you get the payload, you get the error. For example, some exception, not handled error case, whatever. We hit retry, and the job passed. So what's happening? We discovered that basically because Oban chunk worker is working on the list of jobs, payload and error is not in sync. So what to do? We are sending what we think that is failed job with this try-catch block. But also, this is error prone. I will explain after this how to do it better, this architecture. So failed currency rates, it's regular. We said regular queue. It could be Oban Pro, it could be free Oban. With number of attempts 1, we just want to hit one reprocess of the failed job in order to have in each of these failed currency rates job. It's in Oban web. Yeah, it stopped working. Oh. Yeah.
Maybe you lost focus.
Yeah, OK. So in Oban web of this, there will be written failed currency rates. You get payload and error in sync. And bonus tip 5. Oban Pro has also a feature of dynamic cron jobs, where you can dynamically, programmatically manipulate cron jobs, but not so easy. So this is cron tab SAMs from the plugin cron tab from the free tier. You want to delete minute job, you deploy it, and guess what? The job is still running. It's in Oban job table. So Oban needs to have this sync mode automatic feature, so it will know after deploy that it can delete this Oban job safely from its table. And shout out to Shannon and Parker. So I made them in Zagreb. And learn one fun fact. This is Parker with Oban Pro logo. And fun fact that this is the rock from the ring on Shannon's left hand. So Oban pays. Oban Pro, actually. Resources, original blog post about this problem. Forum link when you ask for help. It's public. There we got Oban training for the free Oban. So a set of live books. And this is excellent resource to learn all the tips and tricks that they know, and they shared how to use free Oban. Scaling guide that we missed, don't miss it. This is official Hex documentation. And Hani Badger wrote a great blog post review of the Elixir job processing libraries from one that's still losing credits up to Oban, so you can compare and see other options other than Oban. Shout out to my team. It was team effort. So as Sid mentioned, with team effort, we managed to do this architecture equally and all these settings about Oban to run them safely in production. And that's it. There is a link to presentation and feedback. It's not even relevant anymore. We are not on Conbeam. Thank you very much. So just one thing to finish. This architecture could be done much easier with this extracting, with this all extracting. So if you have some business logic, so chunk worker should be done as possible. You first done business logic in dedicated queue for this business logic. like that is not chunk worker. If something fails, you will get the error in Oban Web, proper error. If job is passing, just pass it Oban insert to this chunk worker, and that's it. This is what we realized that still we have to do for the client.
Who has used Oban here in the audience already?
Probably everyone.
Whoa.
Oh,
Whoa. I feel like I'm the only one who hasn't used it yet. That's really nice. Yep. Yeah, please.
yes, please.
Why did you have to batch ClickHouse writes? Because I thought ClickHouse writes were really fast.
In batch, insert all. There is we had real measurements that when you do the batch insert, ClickHouse is very fast on reading stuff, on query. There is plausible, and guy from the plausible, he created Ecto library, basically same as for the Postgres, he created for the ClickHouse. And there is insert all, as in there, but yes, writes are, ClickHouse advise you to do it in the batches. Yes.
Cool. Any more questions? Oh, that's okay.
What's the timeline of getting like 20 million jobs?
1 weekend.
Yeah.
So every sheet started on Friday, and on Friday, Sunday evening, oh, we have Oban Web, let's take a look.
Yeah.
Or 20 million said, this is excellent. Yeah. And
Timeline is kind of important. We do like 100 million jobs.
my family was visiting, my mother said, 20 million, this could not be, this is not right, please check it. And it was really, log was full of database connection errors. But yes, it was traffic of the bed, so one weekend. Of course, everything happens during the weekend.
Of course, yeah. You commit on Friday, right? And then push to play. We're good? Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So I'm really happy we have Ramiro. Yeah, there you are. Because I was host in track 1, so there's a whole ton of talks that I was not able to see.
Yeah.
One of them is Ramiro's talk. And he's going to tell us about parallelizing AI. Did I get that right? AI and concurrency?
Yeah, I wrote AI evaluation.
And Ramiro came here from Argentina, so it's a very long flight.
Yes.
And we actually realized that we worked together for the same company for some time. There's like a US company called Forte, and they were burning a lot of money and like doing crypto stuff. That's an amazing story.
Sorry?
Am I still on audio?
The magnet will fall out.
And anyway,
Okay.
we figured out that they had a huge Argentinian team, and we realized we worked there probably at the same time. And with that, I'm really curious
Okay.
how we evaluate AI.
Thank you. Hello, thank you. Okay, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting to give my talk. I'm Ramiro. I came from Argentina. I'm going to talk about AI evaluation and how can the BIM can help us to make this task in a concurrent in a scalable way. Okay, I'm software engineer for Arion Coder. Have 20 years of experience and worked in different languages. Now I'm mostly in Elixir. Okay, today we saw a lot of news about AI hallucination, right? So AI is undeterministic, the model contains mistakes, has bias. An example are liars presenting to the lawsuit generated with error, generated with reported by AI, and that is a mistake of the AI, but also a mistake of the user that should check what is presenting, right? So, but sometimes the user overtrusts in the AI. One latest example that I saw is in the news is Deloitte has to partially refund the Australian government for error in a report generated by AI. So why we should evaluate and monitoring LLM? Because of this type of thing, because the LLM model contains mistakes, generate hallucination, and today our agent and AI in every place, in every application, and the company not always realize that the decision that AI make or the output that they give to the user can make consequence. For example, that happened to me 2 weeks ago to come here. I have booked a medical appointment already booked. I receive an email from an AI assistant, and okay, you have a book, we remember, or something like that, ask me for some information. Oh, what's fine. One day before my medical appointment, I received another email by the Maria, my virtual assistant, that my appointment has been canceled without any reason. What? So I told we are real people, and she realized that was a mistake generated by the agent. So the company should take care of this type of thing, right? Because it affects the real people. So this is an example of the issue. Let's imagine let's going forward to create a AI chatbot in a book story, pretty simple. If the user asks to the chatbot who write 100 years of solicitude, the core output will be Gabriel Garcia Marquez, then an hallucination could be Pablo Neruda, or a bias could be the writing must be from Spain. He doesn't know the real answer, right? So, and how we evaluate this type of chatbot? We have metrics specific. We have another LLM to evaluate the LLM output. We have human in the loop, as for the user for feedback. That is very hard to escalate or very hard to collect. And we have also monitoring option. So what are the challenges of evaluating the LLM model? There are lots of challenges. It's hard to detect the bias and the hallucination of the AI, mostly when there is a big context or are very general, right? Also, scalability, real-time monitoring, observability, and latency, performance. But there are some of these challenges that with the BIN and the BOTP, we can at least mitigate to present a better product to the user. So let's see a couple of options in our AI chatbot in the bookstore. One is the prompt evaluation. Before to go to production, we can evaluate which prompt works better with our chatbot. For that, we have metrics. So the idea is to calculate some metrics like rows, source similarity, compression, and see how our model perform better, how our different versions of the prompt perform better in base of the metric that we can collect. So, for example, we have the text that we want to summarize, we have the target summarized, and we have different versions of the prompt. For each version, we can run a calculation of metric and check which prompt perform better and select, okay, this prompt is going to be used for our chatbot. If we see in terms of supervision tree, how we can implement this, the main part of the work is a metric calculator, and we can just run tasks in a same way and calculate all the metrics that we want. If we want to store our prompt in order to contain and maintain different versions of the prompt and check the results, we have ETS. If we want to coordinate the evaluations, we have PubSub, but there is another option. We can use Postgres or we can use Oban, like was mentioned before, or Broadway or GenState to coordinate all the evaluation in a very fast way. It's in a very concurrent way. So this is an example of that I ran it with the services, and I was able to get this result for 10 versions of the prompt. I was able to get the best version of the prompt that matched in only 49 milliseconds. It was pretty fast, at least, my computer. So let's move one step forward now. We have our chatbot in production, and we can judge how our chatbot is responding to the user. So let's add more actor to this guy. So before to send back the response to the user, we can use another LLM that is a specific instruct to evaluate the response from the chatbot. And also, we can collect some metric and send to a dashboard. With that, we can have an idea how the conversation is going with the user. Is it good or bad? How many tokens? How are the time of the response? Also, in the chatbot, we can insert evaluation context. What it can be useful For example, we can calculate metric with our prompt metric calculator before from the user prompt. What is useful that? Because, for example, could be prompt injection risk. If the user wants to send a bad comment that please delete all the books in the database, we need to detect that before to send to the model, right? Or at least advise the model that there are that type of prompt. And we can also provide some evaluation content from the chat about how the conversation is going. So what we need to do is start the conversation, insert the content with the score that we are collecting, call our chat to evaluate the response, and send the response back to the user and collect the metric. So we've seen this in a OTP supervisor tree. We have a mainframe server that can be dynamic supervised with that is going to call our LLM has a chat per conversation and going to collect some metric also. And we can have a ETS to store our score to know how the conversation is going. So this is a prompt that is used for chat. We ask specific to return a score. We add to return if the response should be filtered or not. And we also add short sentence of the evaluation. So I use in the code, I use LangChain. It's a Elixir library that works pretty well. And I collect before to call to the model. And we have the prompt. And I collect all the metrics and insert in the context of the call to the chatbot. Also, we can add some tools like to transfer it like an agent and take some decision based on the score. And also, we collect some metrics that are important for our monitoring part of the model of the conversation, how it is going. So this is an example running. Now I ask to the chatbot to delete all the books from database, and now in the score I have a prompt injection risk number that is not 0, it's 0.5, and the user prompt score is not 1, that is ideally 0.5, and the conversation from Jude is 0.c. So we have an idea how the conversation is going and what or risk can be there present. So based on that, after the call, we can generate metrics, generate alert, and have a better idea about this. Here as an example of the metric collected, we have the evaluation score, the model used, and any information that is useful for us. If we go back to our supervision tree, and we've seen this that can be transformed in a service architecture, it's pretty easy because it's basically what a supervision tree is. So we can transfer it if we want to transfer it in some more scalable, or we want to create microservice for it. We can see it in this type of architecture. We have the context evaluation, that is our main login services, and we have the connector services that could be the conversation and the chat. Basically, ideally, the chat should be more deterministic, not undeterministic like the conversation model. I saw the talk from Chris that there is some technique to do that are very helpful. And also in the context evaluation, we call the metric calculator like prompt injection risk. And we have in our ETS table all the score about how the conversation is going. And we have an observer to collect all the metrics and generate alert and have a better idea of monitoring our conversation with the chat. So what are the main takeaways? That the company should evaluate their model more stronger. The user should be aware of this type of error that's generated by AI. And the Bean and OTP, we saw most of the AI implementation are in Python, right? But doesn't mean that we have to use Python for that. On top of that, we can use the Bean for concurrency with fault tolerance to create interaction with the models. And for example, for this one, and also we can collect and evaluate our model in a very nice way, very reliable fault tolerant ways. And last one, the more important for me, is that we should push for a more ethical and reliable artificial intelligence. So hope you did the most of your time today. I learned a lot giving this talk. Thank you. Keep in touch. Now, if you have any questions.
Great. You have a question now?
Yeah, the scores when it was detecting the prompt injection didn't seem high enough.
Sorry?
The scores when it was detecting the prompt injection?
Yeah.
Like delete all the tape, all the books? It's only like 0.5 or something?
It was measuring the answer.
Yeah.
for prompt.
Ideally, I put 0 rigs. 1 is the most rigs, 0.5 is middle. But yeah, could be 1 if we asked to delete all, right? But yeah, it's a basic algorithm, but that could be improved to better score. But that is a sample to show what is important in the context to the model. Yeah.
In the context of that question, did it charge the answer of the LLM or did it charge the question of the user?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
One very naive ethical question. If you go back to slide one there, forward. No. Next one there. Isn't one problem that people interacting with AI are doing because they don't have better education and awareness? Why should I use AI otherwise? If I put it this way, if I already know pretty much anyway, why bother? It's just
Less typing?
because you're lazy. I know very little about AI, so it just seems, yeah.
Yeah, my point of view for that is that in general, the people that use trust a lot in the AI, they should be aware that there is hallucination, there is mistake. For example, the lawyers that present lawsuit with non-existing case, they should be aware that that possibility exists. So before to present to the judge, they should check at least for the case that they are presented if they already exist, right? So there is another worse example, but that is an example that I mean in that way the people should be aware that there are problems. There could be problems with if they are going to just copy and paste what they are produced. They should verify that.
I can just say a comment to that. I think that a situation like that occurred in Sweden, where some lawyer was presenting information to the judge about another case, and that case didn't exist.
Yeah, that's a.
Yeah.
Hard to refute.
But that's from
Well, the lawyer was an educated person, yes.
Yes.
Totally, yes. but
This has got to do with laziness, right?
Yeah, totally.
They may have trusted the paralegal to do the work, and the paralegal gets lazy and they...
now they just thought they could get away without having a paralegal, so laziness and venal. So.
and cheapness.
I think it's a moving goalpost, right? It's like I need to tell my mom like that not everything she reads on Facebook is the truth, right? But also like, but it's also really like in the past you could say if you have a photo of something that's proof, right? Like that actually worked for quite some time, and we have, that, like you could actually like getting a photograph, like a fake photograph, was really hard for a pretty long time after inventing of a photograph. But now it's like you have to re-educate people and tell them like a photo actually means nothing anymore.
Kind of scary.
Yeah, it's like, but it's moving the
In
goalpost.
fact, the higher quality it is, the less likely it is to be real.
Oh, nice. Yeah, exactly.
The AI system that will fix it next time.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Low quality.
You had Olama on the slides. What's your favorite like open weight model to use?
Yeah, I find interesting. I use Gemma 3 for the test, for the chat. So yeah, with Olama was a way to use a single way to use a local model. So we can interact with OpenAI, but we can chat with the local model that would be more cheaper than if now we have a cost in 2 models, right? So it's a lot of money. That's one of the problems. Okay.
I have another question. Like we had like a chatbot on our site for quite some time to answer support questions. And what we figured out is that what people did is they used that as an entrance to like ChatGPT for free, right? So they started asking like these completely non-related to our product questions. Because it was basically answering happily all the time. So it was like really, really smart, right? It's like, it feels like a... Yeah, so that was my question. Is that something that where you learn, like, is that something that you did, or where you have like suggestions to like reduce the context or tell it to, like, if somebody tries to ask something completely unrelated, lead him back, or?
Yeah, you can add that step in the agent or in the prompt or check the, Model structure and guides is your prompt, and the output that you expect from the model more easy to evaluate and see what is going on.
Yeah, I felt like in your scores, that might be like probably not another type of score or something, unrelated question or something like.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And you can be aware of that. So if there is that type of interaction, you can use open telemetry, send an alert to a dashboard, and see, okay, the people are using our model in a bad way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or try to ask another thing.
So I'm just curious, is it like a chat that you're using, but like if you're charging stuff and like the interaction time, like in a chat, a person probably thinks that an answer should be given in like a couple of seconds probably. But if you do like the charging, like the human interaction, it's gonna stop the conversation flow.
Yeah. But adding the chat in the middle add delay. But if you use like a local model, you can reduce that delay. But depends if you want to put the delay like a filter, or chat respond the user and keep the chat to manage score to a dashboard to see how the conversation is going without the user know that you are, and also the model doesn't know that the conversation is at least be monitoring and evaluating, right? It depends on the use case, I guess.
Up while you're thinking about the hard stuff.
Yeah, you can just run a sync call to agent server and do your stuff, call the chat, collect some metrics, and keep the conversation going.
Thank you. Thank you
All
as
right.
well, Ramiro.
Thank you.
Let's take a short break, get some fresh air, maybe another drink. And I think we have Peter, and then we're just mingling and socializing and some fun. Hey guys, are we ready? Yeah? I'm not ready. It's amazing you guys are still here. It's really late. It has been, for some of you guys, like I guess, presentations from very early to now very late. So congrats to that, to your dexterity. Like I want to applaud you guys. Come on. Woo!
Good job.
And we have a final speaker for today. Peter Saxton from Great Britain flew in here to Berlin. Is it your
train?
You took the train.
So I might have taken the longest to get here.
I
came Deutsche Bahn. Yeah.
Were you on time?
No. Yeah, absolutely not.
So I got like 2 success stories. Now, San Kalkman, she came from Amsterdam, only 3 minutes late. And then Paul, he came from Paris, also only 3 minutes late.
I took the train, I was on time.
You were also on time, like 3 success stories.
One of the trains was on time, but I was 2 hours late.
Oh, okay. Well, San Kalkman was last year 6 hours late. I was really sorry for her. So I was so happy to hear some people coming on time. That's unusual. So you were really lucky. And you're going to tell us about high leverage abstractions?
Yep.
I have no idea what that means, but it sounds exciting. So please take it away. Cool. And one hand of applause, please.
Okay, so so high leverage abstractions. So this is half of the talk I gave at the conference. You can see we're halfway through. So a little bit of the context. I was just talking about kind of good practices and how we develop quickly. And so high leverage abstractions. This is a term which I don't think I've coined, but it's the idea of getting a lot of bang for your buck. So in one of the pieces of advice I give people is to use less, try and simplify your system. I shared the quote, the one I enjoy. I didn't have time to write you a short letter, so I wrote you a long letter. Simplicity is hard, but if you take away everything, if we go back one slide, we have the Turing tar pit. So we can't all just write machine code. We need stuff. And I argue that actually the really good abstractions, we kind of stop talking about them. So we argue about languages and this, that, and the other. We never argue about a file system anymore because it's kind of worked. It's an abstraction which we just kind of go, yeah, cool, crack on. Garbage collection as well. Like that's, okay, there are languages where you have control, and Rust does other interesting things as well, but like the actual sort of temperature of developer chat around garbage collection is pretty low because it's good, right? We use garbage collection in a lot of places. And I think Beam has a few examples of these as well. So supervision trees are fairly sort of just taken as like a landscape that we work in. They're good things. So they're not discussed because they're doing their job well. So high leverage abstractions, a simple, elegant abstraction gets used in a lot of places. So supervision trees, I say supervision trees, they replace our use of try-catch to some degree. And they also replace our use of Kubernetes. All right. So we can all be very pleased with ourselves. Yeah. Already, well, second slide.
I've provided this sort of imagery before, and it's basically a two-part, which is Kubernetes is what you get when you don't have OTP.
Yeah, and I think that's fair enough. Yeah. So I think so I actually put here that they are elegant. We talk about kind of discovering them, and that we like them and they're elegant, and so supervision trees are more elegant than either of the above, and that elegant sounds really romantic, but I think if we were being really reductionist, it's like we just get to use them more for like learning less. That's the really economics of it. Okay, so now we have Gleam. So who's heard of Gleam at this point? I'm hoping that's a lot of people. Who has written enough Gleam? There's a camera that they would be okay explaining how use works. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. So Gleam is a strongly typed language. You have in that a result type. So this is exactly the same as Erlang's concept of the OK and error tuple, except it's enforced at compile time that you use it properly. So when you're working with something which could return a value or have errored, you often want to kind of build together a pipeline, and try is the function that does that. So if your result is OK, you have wrapped some value, which is our x, and you put this x into the function for what you want to do next, what you want to continue doing in the pipeline. And if you've got an error, you don't do anything else, you just return the error again. So you can compose multiple failing functions this way. And so what Gleam does is let's explain this first example. This first example is just calling the try function. So this send web request might fail, might return a value. The second argument here is an anonymous function which says, it doesn't actually do anything useful, so it's a slightly strange example, but we just go, yeah, if we got a response, yeah, we just take the body out of it. So our result type here goes from the result of a response to the result of a string. Like if the response came back okay, just give us the body. And the problem you have here is, well, it's not a problem as so much, but you have nesting going on. So if you want to start stringing these together, we get the pyramid of doom, and it's not very nice to look at. And what the use keyword does in Gleam is we take this last argument to a call, and we turn it around. So where you previously passed an anonymous function as the last argument to result.try, you can say that result.try is still the same toErity function, but the last argument is the implicit sort of function here, where this is the argument of the function, and then the rest of the body is the body of the anonymous function. And so Gleam got use. I can't actually remember what version it came out, but it replaced a previous construct, which was an explicit try. So in try, we had a special keyword that did this, reduced this indentation, but it reduced this indentation only for results. Gleam use is slightly more elegant because you can use for anything that accepts a callback. So if you were to work with promises and you want to do promise then, the use keyword allows you to reduce the nesting. There are combinations of promises and results. There's a way to do DSLs where you talk to the database, so if you want to wrap up your database errors. So you can build lots of pipelines of fallible programming using use. And so why did I pick out these quotes? So these aid Gleam's goals of being small and consistent. So this goes back to the point of trying to get most out of a small amount of things to learn. So if a concept is consistent, you don't have to learn as many edge cases. And this second quote was going back to a previous example and saying stuff that is unsatisfying, that the code isn't easier to read and more aesthetically pleasing. So they don't exactly use the word elegant, but a lot of this is about feeling in the code. So we feel good with these high leverage abstractions. So programming languages. Programming languages are a tool for organizing thoughts. And it's good. We want to get more out of doing this. Learning lots of languages. You've got your JavaScript and your HTML and your SQL and your Erlang. It's a tax. It's just an effort. It's an effort that we have to go through. We get good things out of it. We like SQL for databases. We like HTML. It's fine. We know what we're up to. But everything is a cost that we run through. So here's another abstraction, the idea of platforms. This will loop back around to the languages. So the Beam platform. The Beam platform is the best platform for highly concurrent systems. Okay, you've got a system. It's going to have a bunch of users. It's going to be up for a long time. Use the Beam. That's great. I would argue that Erlang is in essence the DSL for the Beam platform. It's quite tricky to separate the two. It doesn't have to be. Theoretically, you can write an Erlang interpreter that does nothing related to processes, but it's not built that way. We call it Erlang OTP. They're very conjoined as a concept. The language has language primitives for sending to processes, so there is an assumption that it's on the Beam platform. And so my argument is Erlang is the DSL for the Beam platform. The Beam platform is great. Erlang's great because it gives us a Beam. Erlang's also pretty great, but it's really great because of the Beam. And this happens in a lot of ecosystems. So the browser is the best platform for universal distribution. If you have a problem which isn't up all the time and you want to get in lots of people's hands, then the Beam is a terrible idea. If to say, try my little app, first install Erlang, doesn't go so well. If you give someone a URL and it puts the JavaScript in their browser, brilliant. It is the best universal distribution platform. And then JavaScript and the DOM exist as the DSL for the browser platform. So now there's Node, it's kind of pared things down, but when you start writing in JavaScript, you assume that the document variable is available in your global space. It has certain assumptions about being in a browser. So JavaScript DOM is a DSL for the browser platform. Another great platform, but the platform drives the ecosystem around it in these languages. So now we get on to Gleam. So Gleam is another language. It makes other choices. But Gleam does not have the assumption of a platform in the same way. So Gleam is a tool for thought, like all languages. Languages are for humans. They are a way of putting your thoughts into modules, reusing components by function definitions, a whole bunch of ways of organizing complexity. Okay? But Gleam has no syntactic niceties for processes and promises. And actually, when people come to Gleam, having been at a Beam conference and going, I want to try Gleam, very common question is, how do I send a message? And we go, you install a library. And they go, what? Why? OK. And the reason is that it's now applicable to either or any platform. Like that's its whole point. And it makes Gleam more focused on the job of being a tool to organize your thoughts. It brings a bunch of opinions on how to do that. One of the opinions is you have a strong type system. You know, you can take it or leave it. But at a key level, it's separated from the platform it runs on. And you can prove that Gleam is incredibly successful at this because of this project. So who's heard of this project? Yeah, no hands up. I hope that the person behind this really likes the fact I keep bigging it up. So someone has forked the Gleam compiler so that the target is neither JavaScript or Erlang. The target is actually Nix scripts. So you can define your system configuration in Gleam. And you get all the modules, all the type checking. Like it has FFI into Nix packages. And so yeah, you can use Gleam to define how your operating system should be built. No changes to the language other than the way of defining FFI into the platform it runs underneath. So yeah, proof that Gleam is pretty successful at being a tool for thought. So how do we maximize the leverage of Gleam? Like Gleam is an abstraction. How do we maximize the leverage? And what this means is, assuming we like it, I like it, but this is taken for read in this talk that you like Gleam. Okay. Increasing the leverage is to use it in more places. It's already shown that it's not tied to specific platforms, that it's got a sort of an abstract value as a thought organizer. Type systems, this is a famous case from someone bringing Elm into production. They went from 100,000 lines of Elm code, and actually they don't say how many errors they did have, but they had something like 30,000 errors in the year before when they were in JavaScript, and they had no runtime errors after switching to Elm. Gleam runs on a similar type system, slightly different FFI. I don't know if people would make quite such a hard commitment using Gleam code, but yes, types have some benefits. Oh yeah, I remember what I'm doing in this section of the talk now. Okay, so benefits of type system. This is a Python program. What is the benefit of a type system in this program? Essentially nothing, okay? But why? Like, why would I not interested in types in this program? And there's a couple of things. One, it immediately calls the outside world. That's not captured in the type system. Two, it's really small. Types validate a consistency of thought, but I can see it, so it doesn't matter. So to my mind, when arguing for or against types, types are based on a certain amount of axioms, which is how you describe the system underneath. So your axioms may or may not include a description of processes. Gleam originally came without a good description of processes, and it was able to bound smaller amounts of the problem. And then as it got an understanding of processes, the amount of problem it could describe increased slightly. So you have a set of axioms. If your axioms are wrong, your program will crash. So what a type system does, it says, given your axioms, your program is consistent within them. That's all the promise it ever gives you. So if you declare correctly your bindings to the system underneath, any program that type checks will work. If you make a mistake or your program crashes, you check only the axioms to be wrong. So it reduces the search area for mistakes, but it builds on something. The humans define how it works to the layer underneath. And so the wider the perimeter of our axioms, the more valuable the type system, because the more of our system we validate for a smaller set of axioms. And so if we look at something like, I don't know how visible that yellow is, something like a web development system, if you have a back end and a front end, and we build both of those in Gleam, they are strongly typed. The back end and the front end, neither of those will crash due to a whole variety of errors that the type system can catch, but we define the JSON between them. So if the front end sends invalid JSON, Gleam guarantees that the back end won't crash because you have to deal with invalid JSON, but your system is broken by that point because all you can guarantee is that the back end will return you like a 400 error and that the front end will show you that there was an error, but the system is broken. And we have all these perimeters, so you have to make sure you're bound correctly to the DOM, which is another big untyped, hairy API, and SQL, which is another place. There was a talk at the conference about generating SQL from database schemas, so there are efforts to make that smoother as well. But once you get into a strongly typed space, getting less boundaries is sort of the game you end up playing. And so if you have a meta framework, hands up who knows what a meta framework is? I got quite deep into the JavaScript community here, yes. So a meta framework, so if you have something like React, React is a way of describing how you write a browser application. A meta framework is something that extends it over the front and the back end. And in JavaScript land, there are many, many of these. And you can mark functions as to run on the server or run on the client. And if you're in TypeScript, it will check over both, which means that you can call on a front-end component a back-end function which, say, accesses the database without defining a serialization format. The meta framework takes care of it. So at that point, you don't ever define the JSON. Your type system is able to say, this back-end and front-end are one application. They're consistent. And so you get more bang for your buck. You get more leverage out of learning about the type system. You have less external interfaces. Cool. So web development is far more than the front end and the back end. We have CI, lots of YAML. That's great typing as well. Bash, make, other fun things. So this is my controversial statement. Great. So the Unix philosophy. Now, I asked people about this. Right. This is written down this way. I strongly dislike the Unix philosophy. OK. I like 2 of those statements, but not the third. The key thing here is the Unix philosophy. So write programs that do one thing well. Write programs that work well together. So that's break down your problem into small components, compose those components together. But they insist that we should have totally unstructured text streams between them. So if you are getting into Rust or Zig, you've got these lovely little programs. Your computer buddy, which is the type system, can tell you where you're going wrong, and then you throw it all away for every single pipe as you go along. I also fundamentally think that a file system is a global namespace of untyped bags of stuff. I would also like to get rid of those, but I haven't worked out that one quite yet. Yeah. So it could be worse. What system am I would say, what system am I passing commentary on here? Kubernetes. That's 2 for 2, straight in, yeah. Very small microservices with lots of help from your tooling, like TypeScript, Gleam, even Erlang with Dialyze. It doesn't matter. Let's make the amount of help they give you as small as possible, and then write YAML in between with humans to validate it. So I don't like this direction of programming. So how do we solve this? So Linux, great platform for running multiple applications, years of work, lots of effort into the runtime. And yeah, Bash or Shell or Make is the DSL for interacting with the operating system platform. We know what to do here. Like, why not use Gleam? Like, why, yeah. So I've written a library for this. This is called Midas. And I use it. So I use Midas in my build pipelines. So what I have here is, so this T is just a task. This is the sort of part out into like calling out to the system. A quick disclaimer, I haven't compiled Gleam to Bash. To prove this to work, I run all these scripts on Node because Node is very easy to install in lots of places. So yes, I compile this to JavaScript and then I run Node programs. But my build logic is all in Gleam. And so I have this project here, which is a playground. And the playground allows you to try out various Gleam tutorials, and it has a JavaScript front end. It also has a service worker, which does like proxying for a bunch of module loading code. And I build all the different applications in a Gleam pipeline. So what I have here is I have a bundle function. This bundle function shells out to the Gleam compiler, calls the Gleam compiler, then passes the result into, I can't remember, like rollup, and gives me a JavaScript module, which is now strongly typed as a piece of string. And I can do a variety of things with this. And I don't know how far we get through this, but yes, my whole build script bundles together all these things, makes a zip file, pushes the zip file to Netlify. It actually logs into Netlify as well using an OAuth server, so I don't have any tokens on my machine. It just pops up a web view. All of that defined in Gleam as well, and it's a great way to organize my thoughts. I run the Gleam weekly newsletter. Once I post it, it's also all pushed with Gleam. I have a share on Blue Sky, LinkedIn, and Twitter function. I've written them all in Gleam. They're not part of the application. They're part of like the tasks that I have around it. So one thing we have here, this is part of the documentation example. There's one thing I don't like about this. Now, if you've been listening carefully, you might know what I don't like about it, but I will not ask you to shout out. I will explain. What I don't like about this is the run function here is bundling the app and writing it to the main.js file. The app is this function here. So this is the whole application and build script for a hello world like alert in the, well, it'll console log in the browser. The problem I have with this is this bit is untyped. Okay, here. This is a string reference to what you have up here. So if you mistype app, when you try to bundle this, you get a runtime error going, yeah, it doesn't exist. I don't think it should be like this, but Gleam makes it like this right now. And so I have this can we do more question. I don't know, I'm probably 20 minutes now. And then this was a spoiler for my lightning talk, which was, can we type check upgrading code? Like in terms of like we can type check all our build steps, can we type check upgrading systems? And then we can leverage everything. Like our whole system, the life cycle of our system, it's organized in lovely Gleam modules. It's type checked whole life cycle. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And so, two last sort of like finishing points. One, I'm organizing a Gleam conference in the new year. If anyone would like to come to, I was about to say sunny UK, it's February. Like, if anyone would like to come to the UK and stay indoors and look at talks, then that's what we can offer.
I think Bristol is fine.
Yeah, but no one's coming for the beach in February. I mean, we could, yeah.
But you have palm trees.
We do have palm trees. Yeah. And then number two is we can have, this will be a show of how much time do I have left?
How much do you need?
Well, probably about 2 minutes.
Yeah, you have to.
Would we like a hot code reloading example in another language? Yeah. Right. Okay. Forget everything about why this exists. I was waiting for a visa. I wrote a language. So what we have here is we have a small, so like, I'm not going to explain too much of the syntax of what's going on here. I hope it's kind of, to some degree, follows on from a functional experience, but we have a little application described by an init handle and render function, and it's working down here. So if you click here, it's a counter app, okay? But the example is live. So if I go in here and I say make this 2, you have to ignore this stuff in the middle. The app has hot code reloaded. It goes up by 2 at a time as we go along. The render function is safe to change as well. So we go in here, we edit this, we say it's totally super random 90s, totally rad, and number of 23. We're still code reloading as we go along, okay? It's going to be annoying without the space, so let's actually fix that. Cool. So that was easy to upgrade. If you don't change your internal state, upgrading's fine. So let's make our state a more complex object. So we're going to put a count field. Okay. Now we get a type error, and the type error at the moment is coming from the fact that our handle and render functions are not consistent. So we go along, we say that we make this state, we'll delete that, no, we shouldn't delete that. We should rename it. I haven't written this code for like a year, so we'll see how much I can remember the commands. We'll delete this, we'll use the variable count. We will put this in a record which has the field count. So our handle function now takes something with the field count, returns something with the field count, incremented. Our render, we still get the same error, integer expected count. That's because this view function is trying to do int to string on the whole state, so we need to destructure that. Now we have a new type error, and this is a type error. This is all being calculated ahead of time, which says missing row migrate. So that is talking about the total return. So if we add an item before, we had a field called migrate. The code's incomplete, so we have the concept of type holes. So if we put in here a function from old to, old. So this is not a correct migration function. This won't do what it needs to do. Let me scroll down. We have a type error, where the type error is that we've got an integer and we expected a count of integer, which is coming from this migrate function. And now if I click here and make this count, no more type errors. But the type checker here has a reference to the old and the new system. So it knows that because it's a unsafe migrate, because we don't have a downgrade, it's not automatically patched it in. It's given us, it's replaced the app with this click to upgrade function. So if we do click to upgrade, app state becomes count of 29. We're now back live again. Our counting still work. We can loop back around. We can go up here. We can say make this another number 20. We don't get asked, and we're now incrementing by 20 as we go along. So there you go. This is, yeah, the reason this exists is because you can't do it in Gleam. The whole language was an experiment to prove it was possible. everything else about this language is interesting, but it does prove you can get a type system over code reloading. And that's the end of the talk.
That was super cool. Sure. I got very strong small talk vibes from this.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you ever used that, but do we have some questions on this?
Do you think you could make this hot code reloading also work in like a distributed system?
Yes. So I have type check. So the reason this works is because of its choice of type system is structural typing. The key semantic of structural typing is you don't define anything new. You don't name anything. And because you don't do that, you can type check a program and another program and then bring them together. So any functions created on program 1, which accept a record with a field count, will work with anything which produces a record with a field count, even if it comes from another program, even if it comes from a different time. So I have written a strongly typed shell, which uses that each line in the shell is new code that you type check with the previous program. I have type checked I type checked a ludicrous pipeline where I had a build script that returned a function that was put on a server, which returned a function which was sent to the client, which returned a function which was actually sent over web USB to an Arduino. So I had four devices in a one-line function which was type checked. Like the type system knew in that harness that the first argument was going to be some build information, the second was going to be an HTTP web request, the third one was a DOM reference, and the fourth one was, I think it was just nil for the serial information in the Arduino. So yeah, you would work. What do you mean by timing issues?
Like if one system updates before the other?
So that was a deployment pipeline. So yes. So when you see the type information saying there now needs to be a migrate function, because the type system understands like the context it's working in, you have to put some effort into defining the context. So you could choose to define under the assumption that things will get upgraded in time. Which you can do in a variety of ways. For example, if you deploy a new client, it can make every request with metadata saying I am version 5. And when it hits a server, it can be like bounced into a queue to wait for the other one to come up. Or you can say, I'm going to make a different assumption that new versions of the client should be compatible with old versions of the server or vice versa. But that then becomes a part of you designing like the harness.
It's up to you then,
yeah.
Still cool, but yeah.
Which is why I talk about the original axioms, because every type system has come up with a set of axioms and then check that it's consistent within it. So the key thing with this is there's a bit more designing of the axioms for the infrastructure that you want to put together. If you want to do like type checking a cluster and reloads, someone has to sit down and go, what is the semantics of this? But once you do it, any program ever that's plugged into that infrastructure will be type checked that it follows the rules correctly.
I tore apart this mathematically earlier today, and basically you're like inside of a security team. So as long as you can find your context in this instance, it's like mathematically sound.
But that's not like in this example. That's not part of the language. It's up to you.
Well, you get to choose your own context.
Yeah.
As long as it's comparable and has the results, it should always work.
Yeah, there is. No. The key sort of next thing I would feel with this would actually be probably the ergonomics of coming up with the harnesses. Like how much, there's a way to take work, which is defining an upgrade path. For example, a web handler, where you can kind of do that anyway because there's never any state between them. You could type something like Oban, because I think in Oban I don't actually know this for sure, I'm going to make it up. I think in some work queues I work with in Ruby, you store stuff as like just the data. You don't necessarily put types into the queue because you can upgrade the program while the queue maintains just data. So you could choose to put that into your harness as well, but you would have to decide what the system principle is like around it, and then you would unify the types across that. Yeah, you can do type safe eval. That's fun as well. You can like type check a continuation in with a compiling process and make sure that it's used properly and all these things.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Question for who has written a Erlang migration, like a release migration? There, yeah, me as well. Who enjoyed that?
I think people often run into issues because they think about it after the fact. If you design your system to be release upgraded, it's manageable. If you don't, then adding it after you make a bunch of changes is really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like probably just I'm Chris. Robert, did you?
Yeah. I mean, path of least action. So it's almost counterintuitive. If you know your path of least action and you do that first and figure out code loading first, then everything should be downhill.
Yeah, I felt like I had a human, like, or a social reaction always to that. Like, my problem with the migrations, like, I think the hot code reloading is awesome, right? The state migration that you just showed, I think it's amazing to type that. But I always had this strange feeling about migrations that this is the one type of code I write. I invest like sometimes multiple days writing a complicated migration. It's going to be executing exactly once. And after it has executed, the value of this code is 0. And that was always so strange for me. Like, I spent so much time on this. Like, a lot of other product code, you hope that people will use it and it's going to be run. But this migration code was always, if it works, it's trash. Like, it was such a strange psychological effect on me. I was something I was thinking about. But you can make it safe. I mean, this is amazing because it's super hard to get safe. But I still don't want to write this code that I know is trash if it works.
Well,
you know,
I think,
it's so strange.
I mean, if it became this safe, like if you so there's a couple of comments. The comment on the fact, like, if you plan ahead, it makes sense. This would force you to, because your program would have to have an understanding of where the hooks are when you built it. But you could reuse it. Like, you would be able to sort of go, in this environment, you can do upgrades this way. But also, if it was really cheap, you might do it. So the demo I want to do, if I do a talk on EWG in the future one day, is, we come along and I get everyone to, like, go to the counter app that's available. But it's a global counter app, so the state is everyone's count. And then I live code upgrading to everyone getting their own counter app or something. And you just patch it into the browser as they go along, because this works in JavaScript in the Beam, and I can push stuff down through a service worker. I can patch up your event loop because that's what I've decided to do for the. And then you go, yeah, okay, let's. So now you can do deploys into the browser as well. So maybe you do that more frequently. So it becomes valuable when you write more migrations. But if it's easier to do them, you can write more migrations. It becomes less of a deal. You have less of a release process, and then you get more feedback. So yeah.
It's amazing. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you, everyone. That's the end of the official part. As far as this was actually the unofficial part anyway, so just mingle. We probably have a couple more minutes before Chris is kicking us out, and enjoy, make friends.